Do you remember these Tamagotchi pets, these small digital devices that have pets on them? And so if you didn't feed this pet for a while, it would simply die. And so these devices, funnily enough, were actually banned in various countries because they were so distracting for children in school. Because there was no way to turn the game off. Like, you couldn't pause the game. You were obliged to keep feeding this digital pet. And in many ways, our mind, our thoughts are much the same. Because there is no off switch to your mind. I mean, you can let me know in the comments if you've ever found one, because I don't know of any honest spiritual teacher who can say that they have cleared their mind of all thinking indefinitely for all time. No such thing exists, to my awareness. But, you know, the analogy of the Tamagotchi pets is so accurate, because our thoughts only survive by way of us giving attention to them. Attention is the nourishment, the feed, the food of thoughts. And so a thought doesn't have independent existence. A thought doesn't exist out of its own will or accord. No, a thought without your belief and attention given to it has no power. It doesn't exist. It has no room to sustain itself. No. And so it is only through the power of our attention and our belief that thought patterns can begin to emerge, that neural pathways can start to groove themselves into our brain and into our experience as human beings. And so I know the story, the old drill of, I am this way because X, Y, and Z happened. I am this way because my past circumstances are a particular configuration that caused me to adopt these thoughts, these patterns of behaving. And I'm not saying that is not true, but that is a claim of victimhood. That is a claim of submitting to the old thought patterns, the old thought forms, the old way of seeing yourself to be. And so here on this channel, we're all about embracing who we truly are, which is beyond the whole notion of self, the whole idea of who we have conditioned ourselves to be in the past, or even who we imagine ourselves to be in the future. That is all good, and we can encapsulate that also. But the key here is to understand that we have the power to change. And to understand that to be in life, to be part of life, to partake in life is to be evolving, to be changing, to be transforming itself. And so the willingness to allow this growth to happen is also the willingness to see that our old thoughts and patterns of being aren't necessarily serving when we are choosing a better life for ourselves, when we are envisioning greater for ourselves. And that is in part done by the very awareness of our own being. When we see, when we realize and recognize that we are so much more than thoughts and behaviors and life circumstances could ever convey to us that we are, when we see that we're beyond that whole game, there is a desire to align ourselves, to align our mind, our body, everything that we are, to that greater truth, to that awareness that we've realized in ourselves. And so I want you to first and foremost recognize the etymological meaning of the word attention. It means to stretch towards. So when we are stretching our mind towards something, we magnify it, we expand it. It fills the space of awareness inside. And if we continually cultivate our attention in a certain direction, that may build certain structures or patterns that continue to rise up to the surface in our mind. And so the key here is to start cultivating new patterns, to shift your attention away from that which you no longer wish to bring more of into your life. And that is a clear choice. It is not an easy choice, let me tell you. It is not easy to change, to transform, but it is simple. The mind is very simple. It may seem so complex because there are so many nuances and ideas of thought that we can entertain. But it is really quite simple, because when you step out of this game of thinking, when you see that, let's say a thought arises, and this thought calls for your attention, and the thought might invite you into a certain problem or issue that needs solving, but the moment that you involve yourself with that thought, you're in the clutches of it. You have invested your belief in it. And so rather than stepping into thoughts that invite you, I want you to simply shift your attention to that which you most desire. Do you desire to feel grateful, fulfilled, happy, peaceful? Well, then why continue the old patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving? And this might sound, and it perhaps is, what some people call spiritual bypassing, because you're neglecting to deal with the old patterns because you see that there is so much more, that there's no point dealing with the old, because you know that in order to transcend that which you see yourself to be beyond, you simply need to shift your attention away. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, because if you think there's a problem and you're invested in dealing with that problem, how could you possibly choose to go beyond it? It is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to be involved with an idea or a thought form in this way and to see yourself beyond it. It requires this spacious awareness. It might require that you take a step back from trying to solve your thoughts or to solve the issues arising, and to simply recognize that there is the space of the thought itself. And as a result, then you can begin to shift your attention away, to choose this slice of experience that you so desire. And so I want to bring your attention to the sensation of your feet right now. Just notice the sensation on your feet right now. Maybe it's tingling, maybe they're swirling, maybe you're standing, sitting, and just noticing the contact with the surface beneath. Whatever the case may be, just notice how easy it was for you to shift your attention to the sensation of your feet. It required nothing of you. It was so simple. And in this way, it is very simple to simply shift our attention away. And so you see, to really gain some clarity, I want you to notice that prior to a thought arising, you are present, you are there. Whilst a thought is playing out in your mind, you are there to perceive it. And after a thought has disappeared, you are still here. Isn't it so? And with this, we can gain the clarity to see that even if thoughts come and go, they don't imply anything by themselves. They don't have to carry any inherent meaning. The only meaning that a thought carries is the one that we apply to it. And so with this, you can simply choose something else. You can choose something else, choose a different state, choose the experience that you desire to feel, experience, and inhabit right now. And this is very relevant to myself because, you see, for many years I was plagued by anxiety, depression. I've experienced so much just mental illness, suffering, and going through many hardships in my life. Not through circumstances themselves, because sure, those can be attributing factors too, but simply because I've cultivated so many negative old patterns of being and thinking and feeling. And so one day I just sort of gained the insight that, hey, I don't feel bad, I don't feel anxious, I don't feel pulled down or weighed down by life anymore. And I didn't know why. I mean, I hadn't done any work per se. I couldn't attribute this to any particular practice or things that I had done for myself. No. I simply recognized one day that, hey, by way of me changing certain things in my life, just the very patterns that I had previously occupied my mind with, I had simply chosen something else, something greater, something more fulfilling, something that felt more aligned to me. And one day, after becoming the new me, so to speak, I looked back at the old self, or the idea of the old self, and thought, hey, isn't that weird that I no longer consider myself associated with these things that I experienced in the past, and as a result I feel so radically different. And this can happen very quickly. I mean, some of you watching this right now, you might have experienced, or you can look back upon your life right now and see that just the past life, the past 5 years, the past year of your life, the past 5 years of your life, how much has changed. You're not the same person anymore, are you? Things can change so radically, drastically, and super quickly too. Because when we cease feeding our thought patterns, they will soon, very soon, discontinue in the same manner. And at the very least, when we choose to no longer fixate our attention on them, their power, their ability to grasp and catch us in the clutches of thinking will start to dampen and just loosen up. And when it's loosening up a little bit, when the grips of these thought patterns start to dissolve, you'll gain the power to continue shifting to the new life that you desire. And so you have so much power, and I want you to utilize this power, and I want you to gain even more insight into yourself so that you can use and utilize this power to the fullest of your ability. And that is why I've launched the Spiritual Life Coaching Program, which is in the description, in the link that you'll find down there, where I will take you through one-on-one coaching sessions where we dive deep into your particular circumstances so that you can gain the deepest insight possible into the mechanisms of your mind, of your awareness, so that you can dive deep into you. And with that, I want you to invite you to check it out, to bring you on board, to work with you one-on-one and devote myself to your journey as well as mine. So with that, I thank you so much for listening. Take care in your life and shift your attention today.